genre.
Back to the Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who The Long Way Around, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Scott Corelli.
I'm Cassandra Fredrickson.
And I'm Nick Jimenez.
And today on the show, we are discussing Terror of the Autons, the third Doctor's fifth story. This is one written by the late, great Robert Holmes and directed by, in an uncredited directing role, Barry Letts, who had to go uncredited because due to BBC rules, producers aren't allowed to direct stuff. I guess. I don't know.
It is the way of things.
Yeah.
That explains that, because I was watching it and I was like, oh, who is this directed by? And it didn't do the directed by credit at the very end. And I was like, What?
Yeah.
What? Okay.
Yeah, that's why. Some sort of, guild rules or something. I don't know. Like, you're not allowed to, give roles to other people. I don't know. Like, people in other guilds. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird stuff. It's like how, at certain, live performance places, like certain theaters and things, you are not allowed to touch the curtain pole, because it has to be done by a person who works there and is part of like the stage guild or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you can get fined like a lot of money just for like touching the curtain thing. So it's I think it's just one of those weird things where it's like, no, you don't get to direct because we're the directors here. And Barry Letts, someone else was supposed to direct it, but Barry Letts stepped in at the last minute because he wanted to direct it anyway and wasn't allowed to because he was a producer. But then supposedly the director that they chose backed out at the last minute, and he was like, I'll just do it and I'll go uncredited. And they were like, whatever. So that happened. But so Terror of the Autons, first episode of season 8. This being so Barry Letts was made producer of Doctor Who in season 7, but season 7's story planning had already happened. So he had very little to do with the overall direction of season 7. I believe that was mostly Terrence Dicks, mostly. Because it was just a weird timing issue. But so when he came in on season 8, season 7 was successful enough that he was able to get a larger budget for the show. And in order to use that larger budget to the best way possible, he extended the amount of stories per season from 4 to 5. And the reason for that was that he was hoping that it would improve ratings even further and raise the budget even further because it would feature more first nights in season 8, which basically meant the first part of a story, which the first parts of any Doctor Who story tended to have higher ratings than any other part. So that was sort of his plan to start kind of sneaking the budget up and getting the ratings up on the show overall. And he hated 7-part serials because he thought they were too long. We also hate 7-part serials here on TDC.
Only if they're bad.
I don't like them, period. Just in general. Yeah.
I always sigh a little.
Yeah, there are good ones. There are good ones, but they could all be done in 6 episodes, all of them. There isn't a single one over 6 episodes that couldn't be done in 6 episodes. Like the only exception to that, I would say, is the War Games, maybe. Maybe
that's not 7. That's like 10.
Right, that's 10, and but I still think they could have probably done that in 8.
I mean, like a third of Marco Polo is just Tagana being like, "Here's what I think of your water, you piece of crap."
Right. Exactly. So Let's agreed with us and wanted to get rid of 7-part stories. So that's what he used the higher budget on. And the next thing that he did was that he altered the recording schedule. So last season with the Silurians and Inferno, they started experimenting with a recording schedule where they would, rather than record 1 episode every week, they would record 2 episodes every 2 weeks. And what this did for the show was it sort of like gave them more bang for their buck, essentially, because they were able to they were able to keep the sets up for 2 episodes rather than putting them up and taking them down every single week. So they would reduce the wear and the tear on the sets. And so by the end of episode 6 on some of the older serials, the sets would practically be falling apart because if they used them every time, every episode, it was like they went up and down a dozen times and they were just getting destroyed. So they started doing this to reduce the wear and tear on the set, so they'd only have to set it up 3 times in a 6-part story instead of 6 times. And then the third thing they did was that they decided to get rid of Liz Shaw. The reason of which, of course, is that they felt that Liz Shaw was too intelligent and independent to play second fiddle to the Doctor, which, when you put it that way, I mean, they're not wrong.
It's kind of like a backhanded compliment, though. Like, you're not dumb enough to be a companion. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they got rid of Liz Shaw. Let's wanted to bring in a pair of companions that would be reminiscent of Jamie and Victoria, which was a companion pairing that he liked a lot. So he created Josephine Grant and Unit Captain Mike Yates, which would be the male counterpart, and his hope was that they would have a romantic involvement, the two of them.
How did that go?
Well,
spoilers, I guess.
Yeah, spoilers.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Why would I?
Yeah. So I mean, not for nothing, but Mike Yates sucks. Let's not put too fine a point on it.
Oh man, yeah.
Mike Yates
Benton is way better.
Yeah. No, Team Benton all the way. 100%. Mike Yates blows. Anyway, so those are supposed to be the 2 companions. Let me ask you something, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell that Mike Yates was supposed to be a companion?
No, like I watched all of it this morning, and I really am struggling to remember the character of Mike Yates.
Yeah, that's yep, that's the problem with Mike Yates.
Like, I think I remember like Gooch more than Mike Yates.
Gooch. Then the fourth thing that they decided was that they wanted season 8. Letts and Dix wanted season 8 to feature some sort of gimmick to attract new viewers. Mm-hmm. So since they considered the exiled Doctor trapped on Earth as sort of a latter-day Sherlock Holmes, they thought it would be appropriate to introduce an arch nemesis in the vein of Professor Moriarty, and they basically hoped that this new character would replace the Daleks as the forefront of Doctor Who's Rogues Gallery, and so the Master was born. And I just think that it is fascinating to me that they were like, yeah, we want to make a villain that's going to be more popular than the Daleks, and then they did. That's amazing. Like, that's kind of amazing. Like, usually when somebody is like calls a shot like that, they end up being way off, and it's terrible.
Like for someone to, it kind of goes against. In a little bit, in kind of a sad way, it kind of goes against everything you learn about creativity, which is like, don't try to topple the popular thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't go after. But yeah, I mean, and they really did they took the one problem with the Daleks, which is that they have no emotion other than like blind frothing hate. And they're like, well, wait, let's create a character that's kind of like a cooled evil, like a more like cerebral evil.
Mm-hmm.
And and like his emotional intellectual equal, like Moriarty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and we're still comparing those characters to this day.
Yeah, it's true. So then when they created the Master, Letts had Roger Delgado in mind, and reached out to the actor, who, being friends with John Pertwee, agreed almost instantly, because, I mean, like, he doesn't want to hang out with his BFF for like a half a year filming this crazy sci-fi show. Which,
look
by
at
the
all
way,
the silly things I have to do.
But which, by the way, Roger Delgado's full name is Roger Cesar Marius Bernard de Delgado Torres Castillo Roberto.
Amazing.
Nice.
Awesome. So anyway, Roger Delgado, he had left a bank job to work on stage, and due to his appearance was instantly cast in almost anything that he auditioned for, and had already done like a bunch of television roles and film roles, including a role in the Bing Crosby Bob Hope movie, The Road to Hong Kong.
I love those.
And a Hammer horror film called The Mummy's Shroud. In both cases, I'm fairly certain he was pretending to be, well, I'm sure he was great, but I'm pretty sure he was cast to pretend to be a race that he was not. In both of those cases,
I've done it. I'll do it again.
So then that brings us to Katie Manning, who she auditioned along with 50 other actresses for the role of Jo Grant. When she showed up late and had forgotten her glasses, which she couldn't read the script. So she ended up just kind of hanging out with Letts and Dix, and was just, I guess, just charmed them enough that she got the part without even reading for it.
That's so funny.
Man, I hope the other actresses never heard that story.
Yeah, I know. But I'm sure they did. But what's interesting though about Katie Manning is that Manning had a bunch of television credits to her name, and she had just been offered a contract by MGM to come to Hollywood and be like, one of their contracted actresses in their stuff. And she ended up turning it down and taking Doctor Who instead, because her father didn't want her to leave the country.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So she could have been like, there's a world in which Katie Manning was a big like actress in the 70s in American cinema, and instead became the next Doctor Who companion, which is really interesting. And Pertwee wasn't there for her audition, but he had met her at a BBC event months before, and had sort of like dog-eared her as a possible companion. And so when he heard that she was cast, he was like, perfect. So he was totally on board. Then Dix turned to Robert Holmes to do this story, and Robert Holmes was like, I don't want to do Autons again. And they're like, too bad, you're going to do Autons again. So he came up with like weird new ways to use the Autons in his original script called The Spray of Death. There were no Autons in the story. It was just the Nestene consciousness, and they were controlling the little troll dolls and the plastic daffodils. That was it. Those were the things that were taking over England. Were just those things. And
that's really 70s, Scott.
Yeah. And then Terrence Dix heavily rewrote the draft to bring in more of the Autons and stuff. Mm-hmm. And lastly, I think the only other thing that I want to really mention, just because I was like, this is good. I like this. It's a bad situation, but I like what happened. So, apparently one of the members of the crew was the actress who played Liz Shaw. Her brother was on the crew of the show, mm-hmm. and he was kind of annoyed that his sister lost her job, and decided that rather than aim that anger, that frustration at the people in charge who pay him his paycheck, he decided to aim all of that anger and frustration at Katie Manning, who he was basically a bully to throughout this entire story.
That's so sad.
Yeah. And to the point where Katie thought she was going to get fired because like he would make fun of her and make fun of her acting and make fun of her choices as a actress, and make fun of her, like, flubbing her lines or like tripping in a stunt or something. And he would make fun of her constantly, and everyone else on the crew would sort of join in that sort of like boys club way that happens when a bunch of working class guys get together. Basically what happened around part 3, she tripped and sprained her ankle, and this guy started making fun of her and making fun of her spraining her ankle and everything. And it's actually John Pertwee basically stepped up and told this guy off, and was like, she's the companion now, get over it or leave.
Wow.
And the guy never said a word after that. Though I don't think he worked for the production for much longer.
Sure.
But, yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a terrible situation, but it was cool of John Pertwee to step up and be like, hey, leave her alone.
I assumed at one point he took like an old timey boxing stance.
Yeah.
Yes. That would be amazing.
He throws down a glove.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's like flushes the cape. Sir.
So yeah, that's Terror of the Autons. It's a good one. It's a good one.
There's just such a I keep thinking of the phrase synthesis when I watch these Pertwee episodes. Maybe it's a little bit because they're always shorter than the first Doctor and second Doctor stories, but it's also like seems to be when the show is finally like, I don't want to, not self-aware in a cynical, self-referential way, but just kind of aware of its own strengths, mm-hmm. and starting to like do cool stuff with it, like mm-hmm. the Master or like Joe Grant and I don't know. So yeah, I always have lots of fun when we go back to this era of the show.
Terror of the Autons, Part 1, written by Robert Holmes, directed and produced by Barry Letts, script edited by Terrence Dix, air date 2nd of January, 1971. A renegade Time Lord calling himself the Master materializes his TARDIS in the middle of a local circus. Using hypnosis, the Master enlists the circus manager Luigi Rossini to help steal a Nestene energy unit from the National Space Museum. Meanwhile, Liz Shaw returns to Cambridge, leaving the Doctor without an assistant, so the Brigadier assigns unit trainee Joe Grant to the job. But the Doctor is unimpressed with her qualifications and requests that she be reassigned. With the Nestene energy unit in hand, the Master infiltrates a deep space radio telescope control tower and overpowers the two scientists inside. Using the radio telescope, the Master connects with a Nestene consciousness located in space and channels it into the stolen energy unit. Using the fully operational Nestene energy unit, the Master commissions Feral Autoplastics Factory to produce a new line of plastic products that he can control. Investigating the theft of the energy unit from the National Space Museum, the Doctor is led to the Deep Space Radio Telescope Control Tower, where another Time Lord arrives to warn the Doctor of the Master's arrival on Earth, before vanishing. Putting together the clues, the Doctor comes to the conclusion that the Master must be working with the Nestenes. The Brigadier puts together a list of plastics factories, and they split up to investigate each one. Jo ends up at Feral Autoplastics, where she is hypnotized by the Master and sent back to unit with a bomb in a box. Before the Doctor can realize what's happening, Jo attempts to open the box and set off the explosive. So right off the top, we've got the Master's Winnebago TARDIS.
Yes.
Which is just spectacular.
It's a great sight, and it's a great opening shot of this story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have questions about the Master's super strength. And so I don't know what that's about. The guy throws a punch, the circus guy, the guy that runs the circus, he goes to punch the Master, who catches the punch and then brings him down to his knees.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? Where is this coming from?
Is it also because he's staring at him with hypnosis eyes?
I'd say that is a very good retcon. It's a good way to it's a good way to make sense of this in any sort of fashion, I would say. Because I kind of thought the same thing. I was like, well,
some gallant post-production guy was like, I'm just gonna add these.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind whenever we get the Master again. I wouldn't mind bringing back Hypnotist Master. Because we got Master of Disguise back, just recently. I would be into another Hypnotist Doctor. There's something that I really, it's so silly, but I don't know, in a fun way, I like it.
Yeah,
I'm sure that they can science their way out of making sense of it.
You can science your way out of anything in Doctor Who.
It's true. Yeah.
Except
so the introduction of Jo Grant is her basically just trying to give the Doctor her resume, and him just saying over and over again, "Not today, thank you."
It's very Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, it is. He calls her a bum vendor, which I'm not even sure.
Yes, thank you so much for bringing that up.
What?
He calls
her a bun. No, he calls her a bun vendor.
Oh, a bun vendor. Okay.
Yeah, like a vendor of buns. It is so quintessentially classist.
Yeah.
It is such a Time Lordian insult to call someone a bun vendor. You're just a dirty market rat. Get away from me. I'm a Time Lord.
You are a bun vendor. I don't know. I know that there are definitely some cringy moments as far as the way the Doctor treats Jo in this story. And I think that that's largely a side effect of the time period that this was made. But the overall concept of him not willing to accept a companion that is being offered to him, he needs to kind of see their value, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
No. I'm not opposed to that in theory. In execution, it's not great here, but I do like that. This story is Jo Grant basically proving herself to the Doctor and the audience why she should be a companion.
Yeah.
I'm kind of into that. I like that. So, we have the guy, the scientist up in the tower who's like eating lunch. And, I was just like, man, last meal is a hard-boiled egg. What a way to
go. Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
Never eat a hard-boiled egg, I guess.
Well, just, eat well when you can. I don't know. Eat good stuff.
Especially if you are like a guard or any kind of scientist working out
working in a place where you're alone. Yeah. But yeah, I was bummed out, and you could tell he had taken a bite out of many hard-boiled eggs at that point, because he was like, he barely nibbled on that hard-boiled egg, because you could tell he was just like, I am so sick of this.
That's funny.
Yeah. All right. So we have to talk about my favorite part of this whole story, which is saying something, because there's a lot of great stuff in here, but I don't think anything tops TARDIS Man and the bowler cap and Kane.
Oh my God, what the heck? That was weirder than anything in any of the reconstructions that we've seen this season.
Yeah.
I had to look up on the wiki what they were trying to do, like what the effect was supposed to be.
Yeah, no, TARDIS Man. I'm a big fan of Time Lords dressing up as regular people, like incognito.
Yeah, it was very Rowling-esque.
It was, yeah. And they're better at it than the Doctor. Which,
yeah.
He calls the Doctor out on. He's just like, well, I don't know what you're wearing. This is...
My only real regret is I really wish they had named him, because there are so precious few named Time Lords.
Yeah. Either way, the concept of this Time Lord guy in the bowler cap and cane, the Riddler Time Lord, I really want that character to come back somehow. Yeah, I wish he was named so we could be more specific about like who they're bringing back. But my God, what a missed opportunity for this guy not to show up in every story ever made.
Hello, old friend. And he does the exact same, like the effect still looks the same.
Oh my God. The effect, I mean, I don't even know how to really describe what happens, but the Doctor is on this tower where the Master gets the hard-boiled egg scientist guy. He's in the tower, like about to go check out the crime scene, and he's on the balcony outside of the room where it happened. And he just like looks off into the distance when he hears a TARDIS, and then a man in a bowler cap and a cane appears in midair about
with like a pop noise. It's really funny.
Like 100 yards away in the middle of the air, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm far away, aren't I?" And then he just sort of zooms in closer, and then you just cut back to Pertwee, and this guy is standing directly in front of him, like 3 inches from his face.
It's like Mary Poppins with her umbrella, but without the umbrella. Like he just kind of like zooms,
just walks.
I love Business Meeting Master. We get a lot of that this season. The Master in business meetings, in like a suit and just like hanging out with some guy. And I also love that, like, okay, so he comes into this plastics factory and he's like, I've got something to talk to you about. And he's like, okay, well, what do you got to talk to me about? And then we cut away to the Doctor, like experimenting with a thing. And he's got like, those amazing metallic silver gloves and apron with his like froofy shirt and everything. It's just the most amazing combination of things. I've ever seen. But then we cut to that, and then when we cut back to the master in his business meeting, he's just looming over the guy he was having a business meeting with, and he's just like, and you will obey me. And the guy's like, I will obey you. I was like, wow, this meeting went south quickly.
Or north, depending on, I guess, your position.
I guess that's true. Fair enough. Yeah. And then I guess the other thing happened is this is the episode where Liz gets hypnotized, right? She's like
Joe.
Yeah. You're Joe, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Joe
Liz Shaw, it sucks.
Yeah. So Joe is like at the plastics factory, and the master finds her and is like, who are you? And then hypnotizes her and sends her back to the doctor with a bomb in a box. And that's her cliffhanger.
It's great. It's not even the best cliffhanger in this series.
No. I love that the doctor finds out that the master is in town from Bowler Cap
Man.
Time Lord
Bowler Cap Man. That's his name.
Yeah.
Canon.
Bowler Cap Man. Bowler Cap Man. And the master finds out that the doctor is in town from Joe. And I love for like 3 episodes, they don't interact with each other. They just know that the other person is in town. And there's just something so perfectly like that I just feel like that just sums up the doctor and the master's relationship just in general.
No, it's very like when you know a friend's in town and it's like, no, they can call me.
Yeah.
They know I'm in town. They can call me if they want to hang out.
God, I love it so much. Terror of the Autons, Part 2, written by Robert Holmes, directed and produced by Barry Letts, script edited by Terrence Dix, air date 9th of January, 1971. Moments before the box explodes, the doctor manages to throw it through a nearby window and into the river. The doctor frees Joe from the master's hypnosis, but she cannot remember at which factory she met him due to amnesia induced by the master's post-hypnotic suggestion. Meanwhile, the feral Autoplastics production manager, James McDermott, confronts the master about their new product line. To demonstrate how the new products work, the master shows McDermott a self-inflating plastic chair that comes alive and smothers him. Upset over McDermott's sudden death, the retired owner of Feral Autoplastics confronts his son about the changes being made to the factory. When the master fails to hypnotize him, he leaves a prototype troll doll with Mr. Feral to think it over. Once home, the troll doll comes to life and murders Mr. Feral by lunging at his neck with its fangs. Meanwhile, the doctor's investigation leads him to Rossini's circus, where he is captured by Rossini and a strong man named Tony, tying him to a chair in a nearby trailer. Luckily, in an attempt to prove that she isn't as useless as the doctor believes, Joe had hidden herself in the back of Bessie, the doctor's vintage car. Joe sneaks into the trailer and breaks a vase over Tony's head and rescues the doctor. The pair find the master's TARDIS, and the doctor steals its dematerialization circuit before they are swarmed by Rossini and an angry mob of circus clowns. Luckily for them, a police car arrives to rescue them. Unlucky for them, the car is being driven by 2 Autons. The bomb goes off, but it's tied up in a box, so it saves everybody, I guess.
Except all of the fish that are in the river that just instantaneously die because the bomb goes off in the river.
Yeah, but all the people are fine.
Yeah.
It was a fish bomb.
Some days you can't get rid of a bomb.
Yeah. So this episode is... This is basically like plastic factory politics, the episode.
Right.
Which I love it. But we have this guy who comes in and he's just like judging the young guy that runs the plastics factory. He's just like, why are you changing everything? Your dad's not going to like this. And he's like, I don't care what my dad says. And the master's like, I'll just show you what we're working on. Look at this crappy mound of black plastic. And he's like, that doesn't look like anything like our product. And he's like, oh, but what if I do this? And then he turns it into an inflatable chair, tells the guy to sit in it, and then the chair strangles him.
Like eats him. Like
yeah, it like eats
absorbs him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
which is so funny because it's just obviously the actor just like sulking down into the inflatable chair and then
like wiggling.
And wiggling and then bringing the top of the chair, like the back seat of the chair down on top of him. Like you literally see him reaching for it and grabbing it and pulling it down over himself.
You know, for some reason, I really found myself thinking this time during this story, God, the things this show has made adult British men do. Like,
yeah.
Like that guy had to like pretend to get killed by a chair.
Yeah, he did. An inflatable chair. Oh man. And then after that guy disappears, because he was eaten by the plastic chair, the plastic factory guy's dad shows up and he's like, "What do you think you're doing? I'm going to come out of retirement and run this factory again and run you out of a job." And I'm just like, oh man, this guy, what a hard ass.
Yeah.
Man, that would suck. And then he like the master tries to hypnotize him, but it doesn't work. And then he storms off. And then the master's like, "You better take care of this." And then he storms off and you just cut to the guy and his eye twitches and it just looks like he's just like, "I have too many dads. I just have too many dads right now."
Who do I make happy?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh my God.
Too many dads. One of them got eaten by a chair. The other one is hypnotizing me, and the other one's my actual dad. There's too many dads. It's just so funny. I just felt so bad for him. And then we get the community troll, which is
yes,
the product that the master wants to make at this factory. It's not a little troll doll. It's a very, I mean, it's what is that? A foot and a half tall?
Yeah, it's like big garden gnome size.
Yeah. Despite the fact that when it like attacks someone later, it varies greatly in size depending on the shot we're looking at.
It's so creepy.
It's so creepy. It looks like the troll from Community, only not with it's not wearing any clothes.
Only worse. Like
it's worse. Yeah.
He's got like these stupid beady eyes and like the freaking fang. Oh my God, I hate it. I hate dolls normally, but like, oh my God.
It's got the creepy facial hair.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. This episode has one of my favorite shots, which is of that snap zoom into Stowaway Joe in the back of
yes.
She just pops up in the back seat and they just do a snap zoom. Oh, it's the best.
She like narrows her eyes. It's so funny.
Yeah. it's so good.
It's very like Beastie Boys sabotage video.
Yes. And there's a couple of those because they do the same thing with the window later when she's like looking through the window. Oh man, that's so good. We get introduced to a strong man in this episode in like a Tarzan costume. Who kidnaps the doctor at the circus. Mm-hmm. He's at the circus.
Oh man.
Yeah. He's at the circus. Would you believe, Nick, that not only is this not even the best use of a circus on Doctor Who,
I can believe that.
But this isn't even the best use of a circus in John Pertwee era Doctor Who.
Oh, damn. You know, that makes sense, I guess. Like with of the doctors I've met, and I guess now I have met all of them. He really does seem like the most circus friendly.
Yeah, I
guess maybe like 11.
Yeah, but oh man, there's a circus episode that you are just going to lose your mind about.
I'm excited.
Yeah, that is coming up. The non-Pertwee circus episode. Oh boy.
Oh,
I don't want to spoil which doctor it is, but it is.
Yep.
It is something else. Let me ask you something, Nick. Do you like the rap music?
Oh man. I do.
Oh, well, you are in for a treat, my friend.
Oh
you
my
are
God.
in for a treat.
That's awesome.
Let's see, what else do I got? Yeah, Joe in the window, which reminds me of like Knives Chow in the window.
It is the first really companion-y thing that she does.
Yes. Oh my god.
It's like Donna looking into the window in her first or second episode, I guess. But
I love it so much.
Her first like proper episode.
Yeah.
I think if I had to like go through each companion and sum up each companion with one image, I think either Joe poking out of the back of Bessie or Joe looking through the window while the doctor is tied to a chair in the foreground. I think one of those would be my choice. It's amazing.
Yeah. Donna would for sure be that. I think it would be that GIF of them both reacting to each other.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't care about Amy right now.
Right now.
Well, it'd be like I just didn't want to. I don't want to go through her. We could do that all day. We could. I remember thinking, God, we could do 40 minutes just talking about the font that leak, which I'm sure we'll get to at the end.
Yeah. So the doctor when Joe breaks him out by she takes out the strongman, which is, I mean, impressive, but impressive for her, but like really not impressive at all on the part of the strongman.
Yeah.
Like it did. The thing that she breaks over his head doesn't even look particularly heavy. Like it just, I don't know. But he goes down like a chump really quickly. But there is that great part where the doctor's just like, I have half a mind to call for help.
Yes.
Help.
And then it's like
Help.
the most unconvincing cries for help.
Yeah, he is never less believable than when he has to be like vulnerable.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the third doctor doesn't work as vulnerable. Not so much. He also gets... Okay, so the guy who runs the circus... All right, let me back up. All right, so the doctor steals the TARDIS circuit. Which circuit is it? I keep wanting to say chameleon circuit, but not that one.
The dematerialization circuit.
Right. Dematerialization circuit. Which, by the way, is that the circuit that Missy and the Master have in...
Oh, if it is, that's so good.
I'm pretty sure it was that circuit. Which would make sense why they like, I always said, like, don't ever go without it or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, because you might need a spare because the doctor likes to steal those. That's pretty great. So anyway, they steal the dematerialization circuit out of the Master's TARDIS, which I love. The doctor just strolls inside the Winnebago and strolls back out with the circuit, and then immediately gets attacked by the guy who runs the circus and a gang of clowns.
Oh, it's so horrifying. Oh my god.
Just a gang of clowns surround the doctor and
with
Joe.
Like sticks. Like they're just
with sticks. And then he's got a sledgehammer.
I know.
And he just whacks him with this mallet in the face. I'm honestly shocked that the third doctor didn't just regenerate immediately.
Oh, that would have been great.
Oh man, just takes a mallet to the head. Oh my god, so crazy.
That would have been a really appropriate death for him, though.
Just killed at the circus.
There is something just very blue collar about getting just hit in the head with a hammer.
Yeah, that's true. How does this? How did this one end?
With episode? The creepy Auton face. He peels off the police officer's face.
Yeah, the Auton officer. That's right. Yeah, they go in the back of the cop car, and then the person driving is an Auton. Terror of the Autons, Part 3. Written by Robert Holmes. Directed and produced by Barry Letts. Script edited by Terrence Dix. Air date 16th of January, 1971. The Doctor struggles with the two Autons, causing the car to crash and allowing Joe and the Doctor to escape. Back at his lab, the Doctor attempts to use the Master's dematerialization circuit in his TARDIS, but discovers they are incompatible. The only upside to this is that as long as the Doctor has his circuit, the Master will be trapped on Earth as well. Meanwhile, the factory begins producing realistic plastic daffodils, and the Master orders a group of disguised Autons to hand out thousands of the flowers to the general public. While the Doctor is investigating Mr. Farrell's mysterious death, the Master visits the Doctor's lab in disguise and replaces his telephone. The Doctor and the Brigadier's investigation leads them to Farrell Autoplastics, where they discover the plastic daffodils and narrowly escape an Auton hidden in an office vault. Having brought the plastic troll doll back to the lab for examination, Joe and Captain Yates accidentally bring it to life. The doll attacks Joe, but Yates shoots it to pieces. When the Doctor returns, he receives a phone call from the Master who says goodbye before activating a signal device. The phone cord comes alive and wraps itself around the Doctor's throat, choking the life out of him as his eyes widen in disbelief. Which leads us to part 3. And my one of my favorite moments in this episode was when the Autons are trying to get out of the front of the car. They crash the car and then they're just like wackily trying to get out, open the car door and get out. And it just reminded me of, do you guys remember in the 80s and early 90s, the Incredible crash test dummies?
Oh.
Yeah, those commercials?
Yeah.
Well, the commercials, and then there was like...
At first you were talking about the band and editorializing.
No. And then like there was like a cartoon and there were like dolls, where like their like limbs would Velcro on. I don't know.
That's weird.
Incredible crash test dummies, but that's what that reminded me of when they were like trying to get out of the car. It reminded me of the crash test dummies. Mm-hmm. I looked up the crash test dummies, and there is a surprising amount of mythology involved in the Incredible crash test dummies.
Oh my god!
There are multiple generations, in the way that there are multiple generations of Transformers. There is the Vince and Larry, the Vince and Larry era. There is the Slick and Spin era.
Oh my god!
Yeah. There's the Pro Tech Suit era.
Also, like Transformers, are there like different sides, different tribes?
Yeah, because there's dummy characters that they introduced different tribes or whatever in the third generation. Because there's the Pro Tech Suit dummy characters, and then there's the Junkbot characters.
What the hell?
Oh wow!
Yeah, who are like the bad guys, I guess. And then there was Crash Test Dummy Racing was Generation 4. But yeah, that was a thing. If you guys don't remember the 80s and 90s, I would look this up because this has got to be like the weirdest thing. This is up there with like the Geico cavemen, which was just like a weird phenomenon where they were like, let's make shows and stuff.
Yeah. What the hell?
Yeah. Like this was literally just like a public service advertising campaign about wearing seatbelts. That's all it was in the 80s. And then they turned it into a cartoon series and video games and Mattel action figures and all kinds of stuff. Crazy. Anyway, that's what the Autons trying to get out of the car reminded me of.
Only in America.
So I wrote this note, which is the Brigadier's pronunciation of Auton, which was Autons, which is just the most British thing. Like, Doctor, we have to stop the Autons. The Autons.
His mustache is back. Thank goodness.
Yeah, mustache is back. Yeah, he grew up
they
back
were
during
so salty to each other in this one.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, they were. They were pretty salty. Yeah, apparently, what is the Nicholas Courtney? He was not having the best of time during this story. I guess he fell into like a bout of depression, which is why he's not in this story a lot.
Aww.
That's too bad.
Yeah. But they like cut back his role, and then he came back in here and there. But yeah, he wasn't doing great. Poor guy. So this episode also features the sort of iconic Doctor Who line, "What's wrong with being childish? I like being childish." Mm-hmm. Which makes sense, being a Robert Holmes story. Robert Holmes, man, he gets this character, I think, more than just about any other writer, to be honest.
I always think of that as a Tom Baker line, but I think Tom Baker's line is slightly different. And it might also be written by Robert Holmes, so
it's entirely possible. There's also this bit where is it the Brigadier who sees the plastic daffodil and says, "That's the finest plastic flower I've ever seen."
I think it's Yates.
Oh, is it Yates? Okay,
I don't remember.
That makes it even worse.
He's like a connoisseur of plastic flowers.
Plastic flowers, yeah. Like he gives all of his girlfriends plastic flowers because they'll last forever. He's one of those guys.
Oh my god. That's a red flag right there.
Yeah. Sure is. This flower will never die, just like our love. Oh God, Yates, no. And they wonder why there was no romance between him and Joe.
Oh boy.
He shows up on their first date with plastic flowers, and she's like, "Nope, see you at work."
Oh no! Oh no! I also really like this scene where the Doctor's defending the Brigadier, where that dude who comes in and he's just like telling everybody he's throwing his weight around, and the Brigadier is like, I can't do that. We're kind of focused on this other thing. And he's like, I don't care what you're focused on. Me. Mm-hmm. And the Doctor basically just steps in and is like, now listen here. This man works hard. He works so hard. Why don't you show him respect? And the Brigadier's just like, gosh, I never knew you cared.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't love all the fat shaming that's happening, but it does seem it does seem pretty on brand for the Third Doctor.
Yes, again, just quintessentially just kind of up his own butt.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. He just keeps calling him and the guy's boss Tubby, which is not the best. The Doctor and Joe interviewing that widow is hilarious just because, like, she is in no way a widow. Like, she's just not really even acting particularly sad. And she just keeps remembering details in such a nonchalant way.
I know.
It's just like, your husband just died, like 5 minutes ago. Man, be sadder. My God. If I was police working this case, I would be convinced that she murdered her husband. She's some sort of Black Widow, based on how not sad she is that her husband died.
She's got like a fur coat in the closet. She just
her and that troll just fell in love.
Ew.
And that's why we never see the troll ever again.
No, the troll tries to attack Joe, and then Yates is just like, "Oh, I'm going to shoot it."
That's right.
Because it's really creepy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, because I forgot that they do like that. The Doctor tries to do an autopsy, and it's just like a solid piece of metal or solid piece of plastic, and he's like, I can't do anything with this. Which is just the biggest waste of a scene I've ever seen.
It's so dramatic, too, because, like, the camera is, like, facing him from, like, the point of view of the table or something, and he's just like, scalpel, forceps. I'm like, what? It's like doll surgery.
Yeah. It's great. And then there's this has like a cliffhanger fake out in this episode because
it's my favorite. It's like vintage Pertwee cliffhanger face. Like,
well, I know, but the fake out, out part is the cliffhanger fake out is when the doctor and the brigadier are like going through that office, and the doctor's trying to break into the vault. And he gets into the vault, and then he opens the vault, and there's an Auton in there, and he just he's like, Auton! And then the brigadier gets shot at, but he ducks, and then he closes the vault door. And he's like, man, those Autons are everywhere. Am I right, brigadier?
Are you all right, best friend?
Oh, I love that. But yeah, tell people about the quintessential.
Oh my god. Okay, so previously, this shady telephone guy in the episode is replacing the doctor's phone, like his landline, and it's got a really long cord. And so the phone rings. He's alone in his lab. He picks it up. It's the master, and he's just like, "Oh, I just called to say goodbye," and then. He turns on this, like, I guess he's
such a drama.
This sonic thing. And then we cut to Pertwee, like, getting lassoed by the telephone cord and, like, making, like, a choking face. But it is, like, transcendent. It's so silly.
It's just so... It reminded me of something Loki would do to Thor.
Goodbye,
like,
brother.
Hey, enjoy your phone, dick. And then just like, oh no, cords.
Yeah, the plastic phone comes to life and just like wraps itself around it like a snake.
Oh my god, it's so
the best.
funny.
Terror of the Autons, Part 4, written by Robert Holmes, directed and produced by Barry Letts, script edited by Terrence Dix. Air date 23rd of January 1971. The Brigadier pulls the phone cable from the wall, cutting the signal and saving the Doctor. Realizing that the Master may be using a similar signal on the plastic daffodils, the Doctor examines one only for it to come to life and spray a plastic film over Joe's nose and mouth. The Doctor barely manages to remove the film before Joe suffocates. He realizes that the Master plans to use the radio telescope to send out a signal that will activate the daffodils and murder thousands of people at once, allowing the Nestenes to invade the planet. Upon discovering the plan, the Brigadier orders an airstrike on the location of the Autons, but the Master arrives and kidnaps the Doctor and Joe to get the airstrike cancelled. Taking them to the radio telescope control room, the Doctor convinces the Master that once the Nestene arrive, he will be expendable, and they join forces to reverse the radio signal. The Auton invasion is thwarted, but the Master manages to escape using a clever ruse. The Doctor points out, however, that the Master will return now that he is stranded on Earth. And he admits that he's looking forward to their next meeting. Part 4, they get out of that. The Brigadier saves the Doctor and makes a joke, and the Doctor is not having humor.
Oh today. Man, I didn't write it down, but it was a great one-liner. He was like, talk about a bad connection, or it was something.
Yeah, he says, looks like I cut your connection. I think that's what he said.
Oh man.
The Brigadier, the best. And then there's this really, honestly, a pretty good effect. I mean, largely, it's not great in the close up, like when he's prying it off her face, but like Joe comes in and she gets like this plastic film thrown at her face, and it comes alive and tries to suffocate her by covering her mouth and her nose. And it's I think it's a pretty good effect until like the Doctor goes over to like pry it off her face, and then it's like, oh well, that's obviously just like a molded thing.
Yeah.
Yanking off.
It was mostly just on her to sell it, much like Plastic Chairman.
Yeah, right. Totally. But she sells it up until when the Doctor's prying it off her face. Does pretty good. There's this moment too where things are coming together, and the Master, is it like is it a unit soldier or a scientist or something that he sees on the tower, and he like gets in their way, and it's just like a series of close-ups, and then you just cut to a wide shot of the tower, and the guy just goes flying off of it because he just like flips him off the tower.
I think it's a scientist.
It's a scientist, yeah. You don't see what he does. You just see like these like quick cut close ups of him being like, and then you just see him get flipped off the tower, and it's pretty magnificent. And this episode features one of my favorite master tropes, which is the Doctor and the Master working together and showing us how much they would be able to get done if they just get past their differences and work together.
Yeah.
Take
a look, America.
We get one of many times in which John Pertwee reverses the polarity of something.
Yes.
To save the day.
Before saying, or after saying, we got to reverse the polarity.
Right.
Why don't any of you ever just reverse the polarity?
Yeah. He's like, what do we do? And he just looks at the Master and says, change the polarity. And the Master's like, yes, that's brilliant. It's like, oh my God.
And then they spin dials on like a fake like board. It's really funny.
They could do that together forever.
They could. They should start a band, I'll be honest. Them being back to back at different monitor things, dialing stuff, it reminds me of like when Daffy Duck and Donald Duck are playing dueling pianos and Roger Rabbit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. The Doctor is Daffy Duck.
Mm-hmm.
The Master is no. The Doctor would be Donald.
Yeah, the Doctor would be Donald. Yeah, but and that's how they're set up too, I believe.
Daffy was funnier but meaner.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
like Donald wasn't much of a jokester. Stuff happened to him.
Donald
at his heart, I think he was a decent man.
Donald certainly had more of a propensity for cliffhanger face, the way that Pertwee does.
Yes, he was a big reactor.
Yeah. Definitely. So then we sort of like wrap things up, and we get this bit where the Master is like walking toward them, surrendering himself, and then he pulls out a gun, and then Yates like shoots him like 17 times, and he goes down, and then they're like, well, that's the end of him, and then the Doctor pulls off the Master mask, and it's the plastic factory manager guy. So he's dead. That really sucks. Really, his arc in this story is just really tragic.
His poor mom.
I know. Lost her husband and her son. But it's fine. She's living happily ever after with the troll. It's totally fine. It's not a big deal. She's very happy now.
Oh my God. That thing is so creepy.
But yeah, he's dead. They killed him. That was what was that in?
Mike kills him.
Yeah. What was that in? What was that? That was that idea of like, oh, they're wearing the mask of I think that was like in an episode of Arrow at some point.
Yeah, that sounds like their brand of storytelling.
Yes. It was last season in Arrow. The bad guy dressed up an innocent man as himself, and then Green Arrow killed him, and then realized that it wasn't the guy; it was a hostage.
Sounds like a Joker thing too.
Oh no,
Oliver!
And there was a lot of brooding because that's like the show's like 90% brood. Yeah. Anyway, it reminded me of that. And then the master was using this guy in a master mask as a distraction so he could drive away in his plastic bus.
He almost
that says literally on the side of the bus, it just says plastic is coming to town.
I know. It's the most vaguely threatening thing.
Yeah.
It just, I kind of wanted to hear like the Electric Mayhem playing him off as he drove.
Yes. Oh my God. I want to make that now. Wow. Yeah. And then he's driving off into the distance, and then Sweetums is like, wait for me! Wait for me! Starts chasing after the bus. Oh my God. All I want is a season of Doctor Who. Not an episode, a season of Doctor Who with Muppet characters.
Sure. He's just in a universe of Muppets.
Oh my God. Muppet Doctor Who? Oh my God. I would watch a whole season of that.
That's so good.
Oh man. Get on it, Jim Henson Company.
Yeah. What else are you guys doing? that sitcom was over, even though I actually like that more than most people.
Yeah, well, again, apparently they're doing another Muppet show, another kind of Muppet show for that Disney streaming service. They just announced that today. Yeah. Not to date this podcast, but I just did
that copyright.
Yeah. And then basically the master gets away scot-free. They can't find him. And they're like, well, what are we going to do now? And the doctor says that he's not worried, and instead he's rather looking forward to it, which is a rewrite, because he didn't like the original line in the script, which was that the master will stay on Earth until I destroy him or until he destroys me.
Yikes.
And he was like, yeah, that's a little dark.
Yeah.
Let's lighten that up. He's really my best friend.
One shall fall.
Yeah. Super dark, originally, but, yeah. This is just loaded to the gills with fun, goofy stuff. Mm-hmm. I love this story.
It is. It's just a good time.
Yeah. 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 It's really good. I do have, before we move on to, another bit, I do have a little something. So I ran myself down a rabbit hole today, discovering something. So I have something to share, which is, did you know that there are much in the way of Doctor Who and the Daleks and the sequel to that film? There is a trilogy of Auton films made in the 90s.
Oh my god, shut up, for real?
Yeah. Auton 2 Sentinel, and Auton 3 Awakening.
Those sound horrible.
Uh-huh. They are direct to video.
Of course. That was a given.
Yeah, made by a company called Bill and Ben Video, which are essentially they're like the British equivalent of Roger Corman. And they are well known for making films based on Doctor Who villains, Doctor Who baddies, and also making films that aren't about Doctor Who but star Doctor Who actors. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that's all they make. That's it. So they have films that have Sylvester McCoy in them, and Sophie Aldred, and Colin Baker, and Peter Davison, and et cetera, et cetera.
That's amazing.
They have one of the Macra.
John Pertwee. What's that?
I would watch one about the Macra.
Oh yeah, totally. So yeah, they made this Auton trilogy. Now here's the thing that really blew me away. All 3 Auton films are written by, and the first 2 are directed by, none other than Nicholas Briggs.
Oh, shut up. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Though by the third one, he took his name off of it, and it says the third one was written by Nicholas Briggs as Arthur Wallace. So he'd taken his name off by the third one. And guys, let me tell you something about these, because I just want to give you just a quick taste of what these movies are about, because they sound absolutely insane. So first of all, the first one, Auton, released in 1997, so a year after the Doctor Who TV movie happened.
Oh my god.
At a top secret unit facility known as the Warehouse. Dr. Sally Arnold has been studying a Nestenes energy unit with no results. As a last result, she subjects the artifact to cosmic signals from the unit's most powerful deep space scanning satellite, which causes a violent energy release that kills her assistant Janice, and the energy unit disappears. Meanwhile, a containment team led by, are you ready for this, guys?
Okay.
Led by a psychic unit operative named Lockwood.
I love him already.
Yes. Has been dispatched. Among Lockwood's abilities is the ability to access all information from any computer mainframe in the world with his mind.
What?
Whoa.
They soon learn that the Nestene energy unit has taken on a mobile form, and there's an Auton copy of senior archivist Graham Winslet. The real Winslet is still alive, his mind being used by the Autons as a resource for information. The energy unit then merges with the Auton Winslet. Several dormant Autons in the warehouse come back to life, and the building becomes a battlefield. They are eventually defeated with the weapon created by the Doctor and Liz Shaw in Spearhead from Space.
Oh,
The
my
Auton,
gosh.
the Auton Winslet then liquefies and escapes through a ventilation shaft, leading to Auton 2, Sentinel. 2 years after the
my.
warehouse incident, a lorry transporting Autons from the warehouse to another unit facility is hijacked by its own cargo. Meanwhile, psychic unit operative Lockwood is
Whoa, he's
troubled.
back.
Is troubled by extremely active dreams. Unit learns that the transfer of the Autons was authorized by Lockwood. When he later remembers signing the transportation docket, it becomes evident that the Nestene consciousness is using Lockwood's psychic abilities to their own ends. Unit's internal security division launches an investigation on Lockwood, pairing him with, get ready, another psychic operative named Natasha Alexander. While Lockwood's abilities are owed to an alien implant, Natasha claims to have been psychic since birth.
What?
Yes. This leads to a whole cult thing at a church, where the combined mental energy of the church's congregation awakens a Nestene creature buried beneath the church. And it's basically Lockwood and Natasha, psychic unit soldiers, versus crazy religious Auton people.
What?
These are films?
Yes, these are films. Which leads to Auton 3. Lockwood and Natasha have returned from the events of the second film.
Sure. And kind of a golden compass, subtle knife, amber spyglass type of
Yes. Computers around the world are failing. They are being invaded by the Nestene consciousness through Lockwood's implant. Because remember, one of his abilities is the ability to control any computer with his mind. Meanwhile, the entire population of a town called Millhampton has disappeared. They have been absorbed into the mind of another revived Nestene below the city.
Jesus.
The only survivor is the real Winslet, the guy from the first movie, who is still being used by the Nestenes at a local psychiatric hospital. This is Asylum of the Autons, is what this movie is. Lockwood and Natasha are both being used by, are you ready, another psychic unit operative named Palmer.
Wow.
To lead them to the heart of the Nestene activity.
So they just get a new one every movie.
Yes. Palmer monitors their movements through a constant link with Natasha's mind. So Palmer is linked to Natasha. The Nestene are linked to Lockwood. Oh, man. So Natasha uses the Nestenes to lure Lockwood to the hospital, which the Autons are using as the center of their operation. A fight breaks out, and then Dr. Arnold arrives and is forced to sacrifice himself to destroy the Nestenes.
Oh my God! These, by the way, listeners, these Auton, I'm now looking at it on the internet. They are properly scary.
Yeah,
they look very creepy.
Yeah, they are pretty creepy. Yeah, the films came out in 1997, 1998, and 1999, respectively.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, yeah. And I just have to mention that this is impressive enough, which, by the way, Lockwood was supposed to be Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart, but at the last minute, Nicholas Courtney couldn't be there.
Yay.
I assume he read the script, is probably what happened. But he claims to have been ill, but I'm not sure. So Brigadier was replaced with Lockwood in the script and recast. But this company, I was impressed enough that they made 3 Auton films. They also made a film, which I didn't read too much about, but they also made a film that is called Zygon when being you just isn't enough.
Oh my god.
There has to be like a video essay about these people.
There must be somewhere.
I'm gonna get on the internet. And
The
I would watch one of
The
these about
Zygon
the
film was
macro.
just made in 2008, only 10 years ago.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Is there a
yeah.
master one?
No.
Oh.
No, I don't
They
think
seem to
they
be
would allow
interested
them
in the creatures.
Yeah, it seems that way. So I'm going to say this. We have a thing where we're on our Patreon. We have like a Patreon goal of $500 a month, and we'll start like a Patreon Doctor's Companion bonus thing where we're going to talk about the
Doctor Who and the Daleks.
Yeah, Doctor Who and the Daleks, 5 minutes at a time.
Mm.
I would go so far as to say that we could turn that into like a whole thing where we just look at these weird spin-off things
kinda like
5 minutes at a time.
Doctor Who stuff.
Yeah. And we do it like 5 minutes at a time, and just really just talk about it because they're insane, like 5 or 10 minutes at a time, something like that,
Yeah.
and just look at all of this stuff because it's just so weird, and I want to know, I want to see it all, but I want to have fun while I'm watching it. Like I don't want it to feel like homework, which is why like 10 minutes at a time feels about right. Thankfully, the Auton movies are only an hour each one.
Oh wow.
That's even weirder.
Yeah. Well, that's
But I
probably.
guess it makes sense.
I mean, you know what? If you're a Roger Corman style filmmaker, why take your ridiculously small budget and turn it into a 2-hour movie when you can make it 1 hour and get twice your bang for your buck?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it totally makes sense to me. By the time the third one came out, the third Auton movie, I think Nicholas Briggs stepped away because I think he got his job at Big Finish.
Yeah, I was going to ask like when he started writing for Big Finish and everything.
Yeah, I bet that's about when it was. He's like, I can't be associated with these anymore. I'm actually writing Doctor Who. The only Doctor Who that exists right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Oh my god.
So Auton trilogy. That's a thing.
Get on it.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So those are the kinds of things we would cover if we hit our Patreon goal. So,
This is just some of the content you would be getting, guys.
Yeah. So if you're not a Patreon subscriber yet, I would hop on it because it sounds insane, and I would love to talk about how these wacky, off kilter spin-off things are. But on a more official note, we did get the logo for the new show. I don't know what there is to talk about other than like it looks amazing and I can't wait. But that's really all I got. I mean, it just looks great.
I like the return of the gold colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really takes me back to like an 05, 06 kind of place.
Yeah. Kaz and I were talking that the logo reminds us of another logo, but we're not sure what that logo is.
I can't place it at all, and it's bothering me.
It, in a good way, it reminds me of the font of like a book series I would read at like book fairs, like a fantasy series. Just like
sure. But we both are recognizing something very specific, and we're just not sure what it is.
Maybe Dinotopia.
It might be like one of those young adult like dystopic font things. Yeah. But
listeners, if you can kind of channel what we're trying to figure out, let us know.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's why I mentioned it, because I was hoping that somebody else would be able to figure that out.
I want that promo image of her silhouette with the sun and the TARDIS as like a giant poster in my living room. Like, it's so pretty.
Hell yeah. Oh, it's gorgeous. And her silhouette is just so instantly iconic. I'm just
those boots and her hair.
Yeah. Like, I was just looking at that and I just thought, man, there's going to be so many t-shirts, like so many off-brand t-shirts of using her silhouette and stuff. There was an image of her at a like a fan art show of just her doctor. Like the actress, she like went there, and Whitaker, she was at this like art show of fan art, and it was all just like fan art of her doctor.
Aw,
and
That's crazy.
that's awesome.
yeah. And I was just like looking at all of the art, and I was just like, man, like, I don't know that any doctor fits sort of like a cartooning style more than her doctor. Like, she just looks like a living cartoon character, and I love it.
In like the best possible way.
Yeah, totally. Like it's very easy. You know that it's a good character design because it's very easy to simplify.
Mm-hmm.
And like that just shows you how iconic it is, just instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Looks really good. So anyway, excited for a trailer. If there is a trailer, we'll probably just like record like a special episode or something and put that out on the feed somewhere. Whenever a trailer comes in, rather than doing it on one of these episodes, I would assume. Just because, we're like dating the hell out of this episode already.
Yeah.
Just by talking about this.
Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah. I know that no one
excited.
listening to this cares. Yeah. So yeah, that's all we got. Next week is Revenge of the Cybermen. Which is, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's
We get to talk about haunted boats.
not the worst. It's not the worst Cybermen episode. No. It's far from the best. But it's whatever. It is what it is. So Fourth Doctor.
Can that be what the episode is called? Oh, we don't name these. Yeah.
We don't name these. Yeah. So Revenge of the Cybermen. I think it's the one and only time the Fourth Doctor goes up against the Cybermen, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The one and only time. So something. That is certainly something.
That is something.
Duelinggenre.com/support. Go check that out. And we'll be back next week with Revenge of the Cybermen.